This is the way it feels to move through summer in Lululemon. Iconic Align softness without the front seam. For our smoothest look and feel ever, summer won't know what hit it. Stretch your limits in the non-stop flexibility of the new Lululemon Align No-Line Pant in select stores and at Lululemon.com.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Pop Culture and Fandom News. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on Friday's episode, we are wrapping up our celebration of Pride Month with our second part of Queer as Folk Season 2. And joining me is one half of the amazing Liberty Diner Dish duo. Unfortunately, Ken's curse. I called it Ken's curse. I'm sorry, Ken. The curse that apparently I have instilled upon Ken has taken hold, and unfortunately Ken will not be here for part 2. So I'm very sad about that, but I'm very happy because I do have with me Ishelle. Hello, Ishelle.
Hello, Erin. Oh, yes, we are so sad for our fallen comrade, Ken, but yeah, he sends his love.
Yeah, I'm very sad about that too. I was like, oh, great, I did curse him. It turned out I did curse him. So, but we're still going to have 2 great episodes for you. So let's get into some pop culture and fandom news. So first and foremost, Ishelle, what is one thing in pop culture or fandom that you're into right now?
Yeah, I am reading a book right now. I've just started it, and it is, let me see, hold on, I want to get the series name. This is a sapphic. I want to say it's like set in the 20s, like the roaring 20s, it's Black lesbian vampire thing. So if you're still, have a little bit of a hangover from watching Sinners, I do recommend this book. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm spending my summer doing some good reading, consuming some really good queer romance, and just trying different genres with it. And so if you want something that's a little bit different from contemporary, it's not full, like, I guess, like Regency era, but yeah, something from the 20s, very fun, very, very queer, very Black, very vampire. I'm in my vampire phase. So yeah, I recommend that book.
And I don't know if you saw, Ishelle, but they have started filming season 3 of Interview with the Vampire.
I have seen. Yes.
Like there was
very excited about that. Yes.
Yeah, there was the clapboard and everything with the V and the L on there, and for Vampire Lestat.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just kind of like staying in the vampire lane, I think, for a while. Yeah.
No, I understand. Vampires are, my favorite of the monsters. So I totally get it. I totally understand. As a preview, and my panelists don't even know this yet because I haven't revealed the schedule yet, but we are going to be covering a classic vampire film in October for Horror Movie Month, and that's the original Fright Night from the 80s. So that came out 1985, and so it's like the anniversary of it. So we are going to be covering the original one. I'm one of the few that I actually like the remake, but the original, of course, is like one of the best vampire movies ever. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, Ishelle.
I have not.
You should watch that one. There's a lot of, as with every vampire thing, there's a lot of homoerotic undertones, I think, to it. But it's also, I don't want to say goofiness isn't the right word, but it's really, Chris Sarandon plays the vampire in it, the main vampire in it, and he's really good. And it's like a real classic. And then they made a sequel to it, Fright Night Part 2, And I actually really liked that one too when I was little. I haven't seen it in like ages. And yes, I do mean when I was little. Okay, I was a kid. And I had the poster for Fright Night Part 2 above my like bed. It must have replaced The Lost Boys, or it must have been there before The Lost. I don't remember. And it's basically just a woman's mouth, red lips, like a woman's face, but you can only see like her eyes and her red lips and a little bit, I think, of her face, and then like the, vampire fangs. I don't know. It's a very sexy poster, I think, but anyway.
Yeah.
But before that, I had The Lost Boys above my, so I just always have had vampire stuff. I guess I don't right now, of course, but I always had that when I was a kid. So yes, I understand the getting into the vampire stuff. So, and I'm sorry, what was the name of that book again? I'm sorry.
Okay, here's the title that I totally had prepped right here and didn't have to go look for. It's called The Ravenous Fate.
The Ravenous Fate?
The
And who's
Ravenous
the
Fate
author?
by Haley Dennings.
There were a couple times there recently when you've been on where you haven't recommended a book. So you've gone
I
back.
know. I have gone back. I am finally back into reading, and I'm so happy to be doing it.
Awesome. Well, okay, what I'm going to say is something that I'm very mixed on. I still don't know how I feel about this movie. So I saw it 28 years later, and I was so excited for this movie. This was like one of my top most anticipated horror films and films period of the year. This is a movie we've been waiting a long, long time for, not 28 years, but it feels like that. And, I had heard such great, wonderful raving reviews, all this stuff. I'd heard a couple of people that weren't as hyped about it and a couple of people that didn't like it. And I don't know if I like this movie. That's why it's weird that I'm putting this in this segment, but I just didn't know where to put it. And I wanted to at least talk about it because this movie is trying to do so much, like so much. There's so much going on. Like they start one storyline and then they seem to switch it and then they switch it and then they switch it. And they're adding so many things in. They add this one character in like about, I don't know, like halfway in, and you think that character is going to mean more than that character ends up meaning. And it's just kind of disjointed to me. It feels very much what it's doing is it's setting up a trilogy of films, which is what it is doing, because Nia DaCosta is directing the next one. And I'm excited about that. I'm really excited to see that. I'm excited to see what she does with it. And then they really want to do a third one. So this feels like it's setting up this trilogy here. And so it's kind of like the prologue. But the problem is it's setting up so much that it feels like it didn't really have a clear line of what it wanted to cover. Now, other people are calling this a masterpiece, wonderful. Some people have said this movie is so British, and maybe that's why some Americans don't like it. So that could be the case. There is a final scene in here, and I'm not going to say much about it because I'm not going to spoil it, that is so like jarring the way this ends in a way, but it's setting up the next thing. And it's kind of jarring and kind of, I don't want to say what my sister said because I might give away part of it, but turns out it's not so funny because the whole reason this scene is in there is this character, and I'm not going to spoil it, but if you want to know, you can just look up spoilers for the ending scene if you've seen it. And this character that they have introduced, this is supposed to be a take on a very famous British figure who was a horrific human being. And so I'm not giving away the name of the person because I don't know, because I feel like I'm giving away too much already. So then finding out that that's what it was, and people that are very, people from the UK and everything that are very familiar with this character and this person, this real life person, knew immediately. And some of them are pissed and some aren't. And you get the feeling this person is going to play a huge role in the next one. And so it's weird. I don't know what to think of this movie because it's so disjointed, yet there are some moments in this movie that are truly wonderful. And the lead performance from Alfie Williams, who's this little boy, plays the main character, Spike. he is so good. He hasn't been advertised as the lead, but he is the lead of this movie. This little boy is. And he's, this isn't a spoiler because this is in the beginning. He has been living in the colony, basically, that they quarantined from the rest of the world to not let the rage virus get out. And he's been living there with his dad, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and his mom, played by Jodie Comer. And his mom is really, really sick. And so he really wants to get his mom help. His dad is kind of a dick and all this other stuff. And there's also Ralph Fiennes in here who's really good too. I won't give away much about his character because it's a big spoiler. So it's like there's great performances. There's interesting things they're trying to talk about here about humanity and human beings and judgment and what happens to us. And I think religion is supposed to be in there too, even though that's such kind of a back thing. I think that's going to be bigger in the next one. But I just don't know if I liked it. I'm so weird about this movie because I want to talk about it with tons of spoilers at some point because I just don't know what to think of it. And there were some weird choices in here of putting in footage in the middle of scenes that just felt kind of out of place. I understood what they were going for, but felt weird. And so I just don't know if I really liked this movie. So I know that's weird that I'm putting it in here into what's one thing you're into right now, but I wanted to talk about it and I didn't know what else to put in this segment, frankly. If I didn't talk about this, there wasn't really much else I could put in here that I could think of. So yeah, so I'm just mixed on it. I am really, really loved the performance though from Alfie Williams. Just he is in, 99.9% of this movie. So it's this little kid carrying this whole huge movie. And that's a big thing, especially in a franchise that is so beloved. And that, really, legitimately, 28 Days Later helped kick off the revitalization of the zombie genre. So, that's a big task to take on. So I'm just kind of just mixed on this. I know that's kind of like a whole thing I'm talking about here, but I just had to talk about it because it was such a letdown in a lot of respects because I was so excited about this movie. And it just was like, okay, I don't know. But I'm still excited for the next one. And if you don't know, and I guess spoiler, but for the next one, if you don't know, Cillian Murphy is going to be back. So just so everybody knows. And if they make a third one, he's supposedly maybe going to be in that one. I don't know. So spoilers there, but everyone wants him to see him. So, yeah. Which I understand. I love Cillian Murphy.
Who doesn't want to see Cillian Murphy? You spoil whatever for me if it's got Cillian Murphy in it.
Yeah. Exactly. So, go see it. Tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. I know we have a lot. Our hosting platform, Wizard Radio, is based in UK. So I'm sure maybe everybody's like, you're just too American to get this movie. I don't know. Everybody says it's very British. So maybe that's the problem. I don't know. And I know a lot of people love it. It's got a really high rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which doesn't necessarily mean anything. But, so tell me why I'm wrong, even though I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I still had fun watching it. It just was so disjointed that I have a hard time really, really loving it. So, or really, really liking it even. So, yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, maybe I'll talk about something that I actually am excited about that's upcoming, something in the future. And maybe Ishel will talk about something that she's just as mixed about as I am or furious about, or we'll see. So we'll be right back. Okay, so Ishel, what is one thing in pop culture or fandom that you're excited, upset, etc. about?
Yeah. Okay. So, I'll tell you something that I am excited about. And that is we're going to keep in the lane with the vampire. You already referenced this, but I'm super excited about season 3 of Interview with the Vampire. You already know that I am obsessed with season 1 and season 2. I love Lestat. I love Sam Reed as Lestat. And I am just super excited to see what they do with him as a rock star in season 3. And just because like this will be the first season that we're actually getting to see him from his point of view, as far as like, or at least we should get some of that, I believe. And so just really excited to see him kind of in the driver's seat of his own narrative. And I expect it to be completely over the top and just like moody and dramatic and bratty and just like all of the things that make that character so great. I am not a person who, not with this source material, like I don't expect the show to be like pure and 100% stick to like the canon. And I think what they're doing with it actually makes more sense on TV and definitely for this time. And so I'm giving them lots of creative license to, still honor Anne Rice and honor the book, but to just do something that is very unique to this show and the world that they built with this show. Yeah. So that is the thing that I am super excited about. I have to wait all the way till 2026 for it. So unfortunately, I'll have to like occupy my time with something else or just like I'll have to intentionally forget about this show for a while so that when I think about it again, it's like, oh yeah, that started airing last week and then I can pick it back up. But yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I know. I'm like 2026. Streaming has so ruined things. I swear
it really has.
You only had to wait a summer.
Exactly. Like you do the summer and then, yeah, here we go back in August, maybe September. But yeah, this whole wait a year or two thing is for the birds. I hate it.
It's so stupid. And yeah, I too love Interview with the Vampire. You can become a Patreon supporter today for as little as $3 a month. You can hear me, Ishelle, and Jen talk about it and how much we love it. And that came about because we covered the movie Interview with the Vampire last year. Ishelle was on there. First time she had watched the movie version. And I knew I needed to watch the show anyway. And so I did. And I watched I made it through the first episode. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing a special bonus episode on that show. And I only watched the first episode. So yes, I'm very, very excited. I'm sad we have to wait that long. And hopefully we'll still be here because, we could be going into World War III right now. So, we never know what's going to happen. So
I know.
I just want to, please, we want to see season 3.
Can we just hold off World War III until after? Yeah. End of 2026, please. Yeah. If they're taking requests on timeline for war and catastrophe. Yeah. Schedule that around season 3, please.
But yeah, I'm very, very excited for it. And I really didn't think I'd ever like the character of Louis ever because I hate that character in the movie. I hate Brad Pitt in that movie because Brad Pitt didn't want to be there and he made sure everybody knew he didn't want to be there. And he's horrible and awful. And Tom Cruise is carrying the whole weight of that film. And Kirsten Dunst too, but Tom Cruise really carries the weight of everything in that movie. So I was like, I'm never going to like this character. And then I ended up in the show loving the character. Lestat is the best, but and I love what they do with Claudia. And so much of it is so good. And there's a scene between Louis and Lestat in the season 2 finale that I've watched that scene an embarrassing number of times. I'm not even going to tell you how many times I've watched that scene. I love that scene so much that when I saw the clapboard of the, for starting season 3, I watched the season 2 finale just so I could watch that scene. I'm such a dork.
Are you talking about the one in the storm?
Yes, I just didn't want to give away too much of it, but yes, the one in with the hurricane.
Yeah,
in New Orleans. Yeah. Yes.
That's a great scene. Yeah,
it is. Well, something that I'm excited about. See, I'm going to talk about something I'm excited about. And a fair warning, if this lives up to the hype I have for it, just from the trailer, this is going to basically define my whole personality for this year after October. And there is this movie coming out about Bruce Springsteen, starring Jeremy Allen White from The Bear. And as everybody knows, I watched The Bear for the first time this year, obsessed with The Bear. The Bear's new season starts today when this episode drops on June 25th, the season 4. So I'm very excited about that. But this trailer dropped, Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. And I know I've seen so many posts from film snobs saying, oh gosh, stupid music biopics. And some of these lines are so cheesy. And da-da-da-da-da-da. I get so fed up with that because I understand, but I am a sucker for this genre when it's done right. We talked about, Ishel was on the episode, we talked about biopics. We talked about Rocket Man last year and how much we loved that. And when they're done right, they are so special to me. And I love Bruce Springsteen so much. And to me, Bruce Springsteen is a part of the fabric of my childhood and a part of my young adulthood. And still the best concert I've ever seen is Bruce Springsteen. I'm not exaggerating when I say seeing Bruce Springsteen live is a spiritual experience. And people that don't even like Bruce Springsteen will say that. I mean, it's just nobody is like him. And that was the one thing I was like, they're never going to be able to capture that live. Well, in this trailer, they have a little clip of Jeremy Allen White, and it's him singing Born to Run. And oh my gosh, on stage. And it is like, holy shit. He's actually seems like he's coming close to Bruce Springsteen on stage. The neck muscles straining, the sweat, the everything like that. And his voice sounds just like Bruce's. And I think, I even read that Bruce Springsteen, who was on set a couple times, he said it was kind of weird at first to be on set. But he praised Jeremy Allen White and praised his voice and everything. So I am just so excited for this movie that comes out in October, of course, because awards season. And if it lives up to the already overhyped mindset that I have for this movie, it will own me. So just a warning for everybody out there. This will own me. If it lives up to that, this will own me in the same way, since it's the same genre as, even though I know Star is Born isn't a music biopic, but it's still, to me, is in the same genre. It'll own me in the same way as Rocket Man and as A Star is Born. So if it lives up to that, we shall see. So please don't disappoint me. It is directed by Scott Cooper, who his other music thing that he has done before was Crazy Heart, which was the movie that earned Jeff Bridges an Oscar. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about, speaking of award season, a new awards category for the Golden Globes, but there is a little catch to it. So we will be right back. Okay, so Golden Globes have announced for 2026, they have a new category. Best Podcast. That's right, everybody who makes podcasts out there. The Globes have added a podcast category. Now, if you're to read the article on Variety, you would think, if you are a regular podcast creator like myself, oh my gosh, you could easily submit your podcast and you probably wouldn't have a chance in hell, but because there's so many out there, but you could submit it and maybe potentially somehow by a miracle you could get in. And, because in this article, they say basically like the criteria is that you must have at least 6 episodes released during the period between January 1st, 2025 and September 30th, 2025. If far surpassed that, I'll say on this podcast. And each episode having a minimum length of 30 program minutes. So that means like it can't include commercials or other stuff like that. But if you look further, the actual criteria for this also goes into how popular your podcast is. So going into what the problem is with podcasting in general, it's hard for independent podcasters and for people that are not fitting into that meme that goes around that's, 3 white men sitting around a microphone. This is what every podcast looks like. No offense. I know some wonderful white men that host podcasts, but it is true. That's what people think. And that's part of the reason I started this. And I'm not saying there aren't successful women podcasters, because there are a lot of them, but there still is that criteria in people's heads. Another eligibility is it has to be narrative, scripted, professionally written content. If it's narrative, like fictional or non-fictional, documentary style storytelling. So like, some of your true crime podcasts would fit into that. Scripted or like the audio dramas, which I have always kind of wanted to maybe do that in the future. It's just, I cannot do another podcast right now. unscripted, so free form, a lot of what we do here. We do have an outline, but it's, but ours would probably follow more into the entertainment and pop culture, of course, commentary, discussion of popular media, celebrities and or pop or cultural trends, news or current affairs, a hybrid, educational, formative. Then they're going to be running this through this company called Luminate Data. And they're going to look at unique listeners and viewers, total downloads and streams, completion rate, so the average percentage of episodes of content that's consumed. So like someone like actually listens to the full thing. Subscriber count, so how many verified people subscribe, audience retention and growth rates, and then financial metrics, platform visibility and market presence. So basically, it's like, here, this is this great category, but we're just going to do this to bring in a different kind of audience. It really is all, I think, the reason they're doing this. So, Ishelle, as a podcaster yourself, thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw like the headline for it, I was like, oh, that's cool because it takes a lot to put on a podcast, Like there is production involved, there is editing involved, there is mixing, there is schedules. Like there's a lot involved in doing a podcast. And so it's really cool for that to be like, I know that there are other like some indie podcast awards and all that stuff. I've never done any of that stuff, of course, but I do know that exists. But I was like, oh, it'd be really cool for something like the Golden Globes to recognize podcasting as a form of art and entertainment and, kind of give it some of the props and respect that it deserves. But then, digging a little deeper into those finer details, it's like, it's just something that's happening in all of society. Like follower count is what gets the thing. And there's pretty privilege. And then there's all kinds of other privilege that is definitely going to influence who and what podcasts get nominated for this kind of thing. And I know you can like you said, you can submit, but it almost feels like you already know who you're looking for in this category. You already know who you're going to choose. And you probably already know who's going to win. It's kind of what it feels like. So it's like, nice try, but I don't really know that I don't want to say it's meaningless for the people who are going to win this award, but I'm like, I don't know. I guess I can recognize the gesture with also saying like it kind of feels sort of empty to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too negative about it, but that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it too. It feels like, here, we're going to give this chance, submit your podcast. But if your podcast isn't really highly successful, like the levels of people that, are making a real big living, good living, and, are millionaires. There are people in this industry that make a lot of money, but there are also the majority that don't. And it is a lot of work. I don't think people realize how much work goes into making a podcast. If I didn't love doing this, I would have quit within a month because it is a lot more work than you even can dream of it being. The recording part is the smallest percentage of what you do. Most of what you do is researching, editing, trying to promote your podcast, which is so hard to do because there's too many podcasts out there. So people kind of ignore you unless you somehow hit on something and then you get it. So it's that like planning out a schedule, trying to herd, it's like herding cats sometimes, to be honest. I love my panelists. I'm not trying to insult them. It's just, that's the way it feels. That's why you learn over the years. Like I just recently changed the way I schedule things because I learned from another podcaster. Oh, that's a great way to do it. I'm going to do it like that. That'll just ease my stress level a little bit. And it's not all of it's fun. If I could afford to, I would have someone edit my episodes for me. It's probably my least fun part and it takes most time, but I love doing this. It's a creative outlet for me. I enjoy it so much that I have 2 other podcasts that are a lot. They still have work, but it's a lot less than this one. But, so it's like you dangle this carrot there and then you read the qualifications. And I think the top 25 that make it, that's what's going to end up being is top 25. And then they're going to dwindle it down. I'm hoping that top 25, what they dwindle down after that, will be based on merit and based on the product. But it should be all based on that. It should all be based on that. And I'm not saying at all that, like, I think like that, I mean, personally, I do think my friends that produce podcasts should be in the running for something like this. The independent awards that they do for podcasts, you have to pay a lot of money to enter your podcast in to even be in the award nominations. I've gotten so many emails from people like that. And I'm like, okay, how much does this cost? And I'm not saying that's not necessarily legitimate, because when you submit screenplays to screenplay competitions, you are paying an entrance fee. But it just it just feels also like you're a new podcaster, pay us a bunch of money and you're buying an award. I don't know why. It just feels that way with that. It doesn't so much with screenplay competitions, but with that, it kind of does. But this kind of feels the same way. It's like, it's like, just come and compete, but you are going to have not a chance in hell. So, I mean, if I were to enter, which there's a part of me that kind of just wants to, just to see what happens, just to see the generic email rejection I would get if they even did that. But to basically be like, no, if you aren't like top tier success, which is so hard to reach, we won't even give you a chance. Whereas if you were to award people that are the smaller podcasts with something like this, it could change their life, like literally overnight change their life. And I just wish it was more open to that. Like if they had like maybe the Independent Spirit Awards will do this, like an independent podcast category, they'd still probably have some kind of criteria like this. But at least that way it would feel like maybe a little bit more of an even playing ground. But this kind of feels like, and if Joe Rogan ends up nominated in this, I'm going to be fucking furious.
Yeah. Seriously. Like, get rid of it. Take the word back. Get rid of it if that's what you're going to do. Yeah. Well, another thing, I'm like, if they're judging on like production quality and all this, like, well, if you make millions of dollars off your podcast, you can afford some good production quality. So I'm like, that's already not fair.
Exactly. And I've listened to podcasts where they have a bunch of money and their production value is not that great. So, I mean, there's a certain podcast that's about where a bunch of actors from Beloved Show are on it. And they got a contract. They signed a contract with like iHeartMedia, big media company, and their production value sucked. Okay. So that also pisses me off, because I'm like, you have the production value and we get shit on if ours don't sound great. But then these people that make lots of money get to have shitty audio and just kind of be like, whatever, because it doesn't matter, because people are going to listen anyway because of the topic and because of who we are. That's so crappy. I remember I listened to this one podcast episode, and I'm not saying we don't have like flubs in our audio or anything like that. I'm not at all saying that. But this person, and this is one of the easiest things you can take out, they left a burp in the episode. The woman burped mid-sentence. It was so gross, I stopped listening. I'm like, you couldn't just take 2 seconds to take that out, and you're talking about a very serious topic, and things happen. Oh, I just lost Eshell. Speaking of things happening, just lost Eshell. We're talking about technical snafus, and I happen to lose Eshell. I was just saying, speaking of technical
The irony. Oh, the irony. This is why we can't be nominated for a Golden Globes.
I know, because of this. This is why.
I'm sorry. But go on. Yes.
No,
I don't know what happened. It just cut off. Yeah.
That was perfect timing. So anyway, I at first was excited about this, but I just can't be excited about this, because it's more Golden Globes just being like, I think what Golden Globes want is they want the influencer crowd, which I know they're good influencers. I know it seems like a harp on influencers a lot, but it's that influencer culture is what I'm more talking about. Like, it's all about image and not about anything deeper than that. So this is like, yeah, mixed bag. So, yep. But I'm sure you'll hear us talk about that more coming up when the awards are announced. You know, I'm an award show geek, all of that. We'll see. The Oscars would never do it. What am I talking about? Because that's just film. But we'll see if like Independent Spirit Awards jump on this train. That would be kind of cool because I would be curious. Because by the way, if you didn't know this, you have to pay a membership, but anybody can join Film Independent, which is, like judges all the Independent Spirit Awards. So Ishelle, me, anyone out there, you have to pay a fee, but you can join, and then you get to cast votes in the Independent Spirit Awards. Just letting everybody know. If you didn't know that, you can have a voice in that area. I don't know how much it costs. I'm not sponsored by them, nothing like that. But yeah. So tell us what you think about that. Who you would ideally want nominated, besides us, of course. Besides us and besides Liberty Diner Dish, of course. Although you'd have to quickly release some new episodes.
I know. We're not even qualified. Yeah.
Get to it.
We're on it.
Just re-release your back catalog. They never have to know.
Yeah, I've got some recorded interviews collecting dust. I could just put those out. Yeah. Unreleased ones. I can put those out there. Yeah. A couple things we just didn't get to release yet. But
oh my gosh, You should do that. Now I want to hear those. Anyway.
I want to hear them. It's been forever.
But on that note, we are going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Pop Culture and Fandom News. So thank you so much for joining me, Ishelle. So if you want to let everybody know where they can find the podcast that deserves to be Golden Globe nominated, Liberty Diner Dish, the Queer as Folk podcast.
Yeah, you can find your Golden Globe nominee wherever you stream your podcast. We are Liberty Diner Dish. Yeah.
Thank you. And Fergie should have her own podcast, Fergie the dog. She would just talk about horror movies and Abbott Elementary and true crime. Hey, people love true crime podcasts, so you can follow Fergie the dog on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find all our past episodes, to become a Patreon supporter for as little as $3 a month and get bonus content like the interview with the vampire episode. And also occasionally you win prizes. You get early access to episodes. You get ad-free content. Go to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. You'll find everything there. To find our Patreon, you go to the Support Us tab. You'll also find our Redbubble store, all of that. You can also click on the link in our show notes to head on over to our Patreon. And on Friday's episode, Ishelle will be back to help me wrap up Pride Month with a look at Queer as Folk Season 2. And this is part 2. So that should be fun. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.